What I've learned about leadership is that leadership is a toolbox. It's not just one thing. A leader, in my humble opinion, one is not a leader if there's no one interested and willing to follow. And, and at certain points in the evolution of your business, it might be when you are trying to raise money. Even before that, because in my opinion, there are different sources of capital, right? So the primary source of capital that you have is your reputation and your relational capital. And so as a leader, that started with how you conducted yourself in high school, in college, in your jobs, in the people that you meet. Those are forms of leadership. How do you interact with your space? How do you interact with your ecosystem? How do you interact with your community? And so leadership, despite the leader in the title, can often mean at different parts of what is necessary. Just being a team player, just someone relying on that recognizes that in this particular case, it is time for me to be second chair or silent because leadership is about results. It's not about whether or not you hold the reins. It's about whether or not we got there. And so if you can take your ego out of it and figure out where you need to create the most value, you in fact are a leader, right? And and so then when you think about the different business, right? You've got to build a team and you've got to be inspirational. You've got to convince people that this idea that you may have not even put on paper yet, right, is cohesive and it is solving a real problem and it all of that. So leadership is this word that cannot be easily boxed into a particular style or because at the end of the day it's about getting stuff done. And so as we have started to build this business and you talk about the distinction between profit and purpose, when I'm wearing my leadership profit hat, it's a different kind of conversation, right? We're then talking about returns on investment. When I'm leading with regards to our purpose hat and going back to integrating that, I have to be able to tell the story that satisfies both. I have to be able to bring different elements into that model to show that we are on point. Now, I must say that one of the smartest and best investors in the world, when he talks about profit and purpose, he has, and others have said, and this is very much kind of a warehouse, a Wall Street kind of perspective, around shareholder primacy, right? That the primary goal of a business is to return capital to its investors. There's a lot of truth in that. If you ask for somebody's money, you need to be able to return them their money. But when you're creating a social enterprise that we have, money has different characteristics. It has different faces to it. And it's not just a return on investment if you have harmed the environment, burnt out your employees, destroyed your supply chain, but now you've got the money in your pocket. That's not it either. And so that intangibility of building something that the word of mouth and the reputation and the return on social impact are also very viable and very valuable elements to trying to lead a business. And so one has to be careful that the expectations of the people that join the team and the money that comes in recognizes duality and the dual purpose of the profit and purpose. But otherwise, there's a misfit to it, right? And that's not good for anybody. So in this case, the leadership is not only you've got to be able to articulate and execute to people that often are not accustomed to wearing both hats at the business level. But guess what? The customer increasingly is. There are more customers demanding it. And so if you can't figure out how to map that into your execution and into your workflow, you are going to be behind with regards to your ability to lead a business in industries that are changing.